Hi, my name's Amiel Courtin-Wilson. I'm a Melbourne filmmaker and artist, and I'd like to welcome you to the Melbourne iteration of Eden, Eden, Eden at 50, a celebration of Pierre Guyotat's controversial and seminal text, Eden, Eden, Eden. We've got some really amazing readers for you, and while I would have hoped this would be a physical event, I hope you enjoy this online presentation, and it's been put together with the support of some really remarkable crew members and quite a lot of people behind the scenes, so thank you to everyone involved. I hope you enjoy.
Soldiers, helmets cocked down, legs spread, trampling, muscles drawn back, over newborn babes swaddled in scarlet, violet shawls, babies falling from arms of women huddled on floors of GMC trucks, drivers free hand pushing back goat thrown forward into cab. For a course pass, Rima platoon crossing over track, soldiers jumping out of trucks, Rima squad lying down on gravel, heads pressed against flint pitted, thorn studded tires, stripping off shirts in shadows of mudguards, women rocking babies against breasts, rocking movement stirring up scents, sharpened with bonfire sweat, impregnating rags, hair, flesh, oil, cloves, henna, butter, indigo, black antimony. In Firkus Valley, below breakwater heaped with charred cedars, barley, wheat, beehives, tombstones, drink stands, school, gadus, fig trees, mectars, stone walls oozing, spattered with brains, orchards blooming, palm trees, swollen in fire, exploding, flowers, pollen, buds, grasses, paper, rags spotted with milk, with shit, with blood, fruit peel, feathers, lifted, shaken, tossed from flame to flame in wind pulling up fire from earth, slumping soldiers straightening up, sniffing tarpaulin flaps, pressing tear-stained cheeks onto burning rails, rubbing members against dusty tires, sucking in cheeks, drooling over painted wood, truck squad, down in dry riverbed, cutting rhododendrons, milk from stalks mixing on knife blades with blood of youths disemboweled in onyx quarry against central vein, soldiers cutting back, pulling up saplings, digging out roots with studded boots, others kicking, swinging lopsided, camel dung, grenades, eagle carry-on. Rima squad, clambering into trucks, falling onto women, guns at sides, hardened members spurring violet rags, clasped between women's thighs, soldier, chest-crushing baby sucking at breast, parting woman's hair pushed over eyes, stroking forehead with fingers covered in powdered onyx, orgasm spurting saliva from mouth, dousing baby's buttered skull, retracted member resting, softening on shawls soaking up dye, wind shaking trucks, sand whipping against axles, sheet metal, soldiers clambering into trucks, Rima squad, leaning against tarpaulin pressed down on necks by driving rain, buttoning up, eyes shining in darkening shadows, fingers glimmering on belt buckles, goats, sweat of pursuit around bonfires soaking coats, crouching down, licking rags tied around thighs of women, silent youth wrapped in sackcloth, propped back against driver's seat, pissing into blue enamel mug held in mutilated hand, driver leaning back, stroking youth's forehead marked with blue cross, youth, kissing palm, wrist rippled with veins, swelling with alcoholic blood, half-track caterpillars, grinding stones thrown onto track by wind, soldiers dozing, dye-stained members curled against thighs, dripping drops of jism, driver of truck crowded with males, animals, bundles, spitting black saliva, wasp sting, swelling cheek, swollen, half-closing eye, pockets crammed with black grapes, tanned head of old man, reddening under white hairs, shaking against sheet metal, under gear stick, with hobnail boots, driver, black saliva drying on chin, crushing, pulling immaculate locks from occiput against metal beaten from below by cracked stones, kicked back at camp soldier. Dogs wash out my trucks, females hanging out babies' rags on bushes, males setting up tents beside rubbish ditch, sludge of rotting meat, vomit, glimmering, rosy, under lifeless reeds bending, soldiers pushing back with butts of rifles, women laying babies down in tents, kicking, punching haunches of males bent over unrolled tarpaulins, Rima squad pushing into den, hollowed out under platform of camp in onyx vein, faces heated, arms, legs swinging, bottles thrown against walls, glass splinters falling back into darkened circle, pricking, sticking to hardened members shaken out of dungarees, beer, wine, cut with bromide, splashing over shoulders, bare breasts of waiter, Rima squad rolling, vomiting in corners, waiter, greasy shorts slipping down loins, barefoot, tattooed, on ankle, with woman's breast, trampling on floor cloth, edging around counter, pushing cloth alongside lips of vomiting soldiers.
Wazok's buttocks, heating, thighs, pubis, two unoccupied drillers, one honey-coloured hair, bandage on abdomen, loins squeezed into US shorts, other dark hair packed tight into jeans, rolled up over knees, wearing green plastic sunglasses, sprawling in corner of room, smoking, legs entwined, members protruding red, touching, clubfoot stung on knees by wasp, slumping down along legs of shaved driller, worker, member sliding viscous out of clubfoot's arse, holding up collapsed body by hips. Striking wasps with rough hand coated with dry clay on chest, neck, belly, sexual cluster, thighs of clubfoot. Wasps crushed, tumbling over skin, hanging onto pubic curls. Others aroused, assailing sexual cluster of clubfoot. Driller grabbing, squeezing boy's crotch, bodies bursting against membranes. Clubfoot biting cut off denim jacket, pulling undulating rump up along driller's thighs. Worker pinning clubfoot shoulder under chin against top of chest, both hands stroking swollen knees. Wasp still alive, gleaning. Between toes of horde, jism mixed with mud, grease, shit from foot slab. Driller crushing wasps, together with clubfoot soiled toes, under sole of espadrilles. At some moment, member rehardened, digging back into clubfoot's arse between diagonal buttocks. Young driller, dropping ginger head, fingers digging under loins of whore, spitting into cum C's face, hands lifting middle of a flaccid milky body, straightening up, both fists pressing into cum cheese torso, rising from body, crouching on one side, rolling body onto belly, buttocks of whore, turning, dusty, marked in folds with traces of dried jism. Driller standing up, treading on rump, espadrille, rump, rope, sole struck with tar, squeezing pubescent cuticles, shaking buttocks. Ginger head thumping on floor. Young driller, leg lifted, scratching sexual cluster, fingernails packed underneath with clay, ribs rolling under skin of torso in jacket, gaping open, kneeling, stretching out over whore, pulling cold buttocks apart with both hands, lodging ardent member in slit, pushing glands towards frozen arse, bending head down towards Kamchi's nape, biting, pulling, faded red curls of hair between teeth, drawing hands out from under belly, striking flanks of whore, warm, death, warm. Whoremaster, both breasts smeared, slumbering in intermittent sleep, between dreams, dogs with bodies of Wazag, Kamchi, fighting over guts, gristle of his body, opening one eye, at muffled sounds of panting, member twitching, distant laughter of Wazag, covered by rustle of hay, making member bounce up, hardened, swollen, shit from Chemisa's ass crumbling in powder over violoquous cuticles of glands. Toad in corner, emerging from drain hole, filtering gases of cesspool, jumping onto knee of dark-haired driller, legs entwined with blonde driller, diving under jeans, rolled up to thigh. Blonde driller, sitting up, flattening toad against skin, under sticky denim of jeans, erect member of dark worker touching wrist, dark worker shuddering, cigarette falling over ear, placing hand onto hand of blonde, toad, sliding forward, emerging from opening of fly, bracing body, ready to jump against sexual cluster, gumming pubic hair with gall mixed with excremental mud. Driller seizing toad against thigh, standing up, slapping toad against arse of blonde in folds of shorts. Blonde hollowing loins, throwing arm behind back, pulling leg of toad from under fingers of driller, fingers. Vibrations accelerating, releasing shorts, blonde grabbing toad, thrusting fist towards thighs of driller, unclenching, quick, closing back over driller's bouncing penis. Toad's flesh squashed under palm, mouth drooling over glands, feet gripping stretched cuticle. Curly head driller, legs drawn out over leg of Wazak, penis sliding half out of ass, tipping Wazak back into soiled hay, dragging whore up towards top of heap, fists squeezing forearms, bending, sweaty back, inside espadrilles around naked sticky feet of Wazag, snapping at ear, nimbling root, drawing blood, teardrop forming a corner of whore's eye, head turned into hay, rolling over ridge of nose, swallowed up in that other eye socket, curly head driller unclenching fists, tongue licking blood flowing over earlobe, hand stroking shaggy black mop spiked with thorny twigs, tongue soiled with blood covering eye, licking trail of tear over nose, throbbing against other eye. Wazag darting tongue, taste of jism lingering into vermilion tongue of driller, lips drawing close, sticking together, blood bathing Wazag's cheek, reaching corners of lips joined. Laughter expelling snot from nostrils, mixing in hollow of upper lip swollen by kiss, teeth striking through saliva. Hand of driller, thumb linked to index, gripping Wazag's head, member delving into arse, epidermis over duct, erupting on contact with sides of arse, jism shaking glands, mouth of driller slipping in jerks towards cheek bathed in blood, jism splashing loins, Wazag bringing knees back under belly, driller, belly heavy, heaving, thrusting, member, legs contracting, mouth twisted open, closing over mouth of Wazag, dilated with laughter, whore propped on knees, lifting up driller sprawled over a rump, penis expelled, bouncing up, shining transparent film of jisms, coating red and flesh, violaceous on glands marked with ringed imprints. Wazak squatting, shambling over scattered hay up to driller's open legs. Worker raising, pressing knees into armpit of whore, member softening over seam of fly, expelling pearly filaments, stretching hooked into middle button, shaft retracting into pubic curls. Wazak spreading both hands over driller's belly, marked beneath navel with smudge of red, palpating, kneading, massaging hardened muscles, driller lifting loins, belly oozing sweat embalmed with clay under fingers of the whore, Wazak sprawling between legs, squeezed in jeans, rubbing chest against bluey penis, twisting, wringing rump, driller opening thighs wide, Wazak pulling back, burying blood, muzzle into gaping fly, snapping, chewing, nostrils tickled by hairs at jism-smeared balls, throat yelping, hands kneading drillers, thighs, tongue licking bottom rim of arse, workers' members pouncing up beside bloody cheek, digging deeper, to fringe of shit-caked hairs. Driller flinging legs over Wazag's loins, Wazag spitting out balls, pulling back, soiled muzzle, pink lips, feathering erect member from bottom to top, up to glands, narrowed eyes shining beneath lashes, sweaty fingers gripping curly slope, oozing under jeans of Driller's thighs, tickling chin, throat, top of chest against Driller's glands, penis carved back against Wazag's pubescent torso, vibrating, Wazag sliding member around lips, pushing glands into nostril, tip of tongue flicking shaft away, blowing onto flesh, slipping member, head flung back, dried blood sliding into powder over creases of cheek, into ringlets stuck with stalks, at some moment fingers interlaced, bearing up balls dripping with saliva out of jeans. Workers espadrille rubbing slit of arse. Folded torso hollowing, pubis swelling, sweat drawing grime away from navel. Wazak unbuttoning top of fly with teeth, uncovering pubis, driller stiffening legs. Wazak's hand, other hand holding back balls, grasping pumping member, sweat oozing in joints of thigh, sweat flowing over phalanges. Driller's damp buttocks rubbing against hay, mouth panting, sweat sticking stalks to cheeks. Hands convulsed, grabbing hay, knees creaking, toenail scrapping inside of espadrilles, thighs hardening against forearm of whore. Wazak massaging slimy balls over seam of fly, pointing glands towards mouth, eyes staring level with line of belly, with incandescent breast at wondering eyes of driller. Jism forcing fist. Relaxed mouth filling with spurt. Driller's eyes twinkling, shining through twitching eyelid, flickering over eye. Nerves of palate splashed. Fingers pulling glands out of lips, throat swallowing clot. Second spurt coating chin. Snapping glands back into mouth, squeezing flesh between teeth. Thumb bringing deposit stuck to pubescent chin, back towards corner of lips. Sucking clots back over gums. Driller stretching torso, arms, foot, again rubbing Wazak's buttocks. Hand, sweat cooling, opening out over hay. Whore holding root of member between two fingers, squeezing member from bottom to top.
Intervals, wind and vortex, responding to Eden, Eden, Eden. It is hard to breathe while reading Pierre Guyotat's Eden, Eden, Eden. This difficulty is generated by the text's extraordinary deployment of language. The entire work consists of a single sentence that is broken up only by commas, semicolons, colons and slashes. It presents a rapid montage of images of actions of bodies against and with other bodies. The text jumps back and forth between sequences of action and swerves rapidly to new sequences of action. Many of the images, notoriously, are of sex acts, rape and killing. Eden, Eden, Eden's sequences of action are organised to constitute three primary places, or three Edens: the frontier of a colonial war, with the acts of the occupying army dominating the presentation, a desert brothel visited by workers and soldiers, and a camp of nomads with a herd of goats and camels in the desert. These places cannot be called settings because Guyotat's text does not elaborate a ground-figure relationship that privileges the actions of human bodies over the actions of things, animals, plants, earth, wind or rain. All bodies are equal and mingle together in a multitude of actions that just happen. In Eden, 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 this happening is all that the bodies are. Alain Badiou argues that the prose of Pierre Guyotat elaborates a cosmology of generalized prostitution. Guyotat's fiction is not referential or representational, but it nonetheless speaks a truth of our universe by fabulating a world in which any body is a commodity or on the way to becoming a commodity. For Badiou, the regime of prostitution means the reduction of every vital norm to the immediate mercantile potentialities of bodies, and, more generally, the transformation of the destitute, the weak, all those who compose the immutable bottom layer of the planet's popular human masses, into exchangeable bodies, offered up to brute desire, cruelty, destruction, and consumption. It is not only human beings who are atoms of mercantile potentiality. I quote Eden, Eden, Eden. Whoremaster, kissing Wazag's eyes wide open, my gold running out of your eyes, lips closing eyelids, sweat shining in folds of throat, stubble on chin pricking Wazag's smooth cheek, boy licking man's blue mustache, wrinkles of man's forehead rolling back under turban, Wazag laughing, foam frothing at lips, Whoremaster's member hardened, sliding up over Wazag's groin, pubic fleece sweeping over boy's ribs, Whoremaster's legs swinging over Wazag's head, sheet collapsing, Wazag sneezing, turning master's member away from mouth, knee pushing back throat of man leaning over thighs, rising from bed, going downstairs, flipping down, over lintel, booking slate next to his name, throwing tattered raincoat over naked body, crossing passage, garden, pulling newborn leverets out of cages, carrying babies over to shed housing birds, piglets, dropping down among animals scattered in straw, balls rolling under buttocks, piglets suckling at Wazag's penis, birds delving into hair, shitting in ears of boy, Wazag laughing, stroking bruised belly. For Badiou, the bodies of Guyotat's cosmology are atoms, and their actions upon one another are motivated by a law of attraction which takes two forms, sex or cruelty. In Eden, 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 these forms are frequently combined. The novel also elaborates excesses to the regime of prostitution. Excesses happen when bodies relate beyond their mercantile function. For instance, when Wazag and the uncaged leverets are with piglets and birds in the shed. And excess is found in the temporal structure of Eden, Eden, Eden. It is also in the postulation of inhuman forces of attraction that are indifferent to the regime of prostitution and irreducible to sex or cruelty. So, to the temporal structure, the words of Eden, Eden, Eden are given in the present indicative. This could be said to constitute a pure present, but to be more precise, the novel elaborates multiple pure presents, which can be read in cyclical terms. So let me explain. The final shift between the presentation of the sequence of body actions that make up the brothel and the presentation of the sequence of body actions that constitute the camp of nomads is effected with a quadruple slash. There is no necessity to read the present of the desert brothel happenings and the present of the desert nomad happenings as continuous. Instead, the deployment of a quadruple slash can be read as a break that elaborates a cyclical form of time that repeats a desert topology, here as a brothel and here as a nomad camp. So what? Both topologies present sexual commerce between whores and their masters. But there is another locus which we can also read in cyclical terms that speaks to something else. Eden, Eden, Eden opens with a line of words in large bold font that is written in Tamachek. And now we are no longer slaves. This statement is separated by an interval of white space from the first French word of the novel, which is preceded by a slash and capitalized, soldiers. The white space between the Tamachek statement and the French sentence that constitutes the rest of Guyotat's text is the only section break where there is a few centimetres of space in the entire text of the novel. We can read this space on the page as the mark of a radical difference between the time of the infamously violent actions of the soldiers on exploited and commodified bodies and the time of the statement in Tamachek. We are no longer slaves can be read to proclaim escape from a past governed by the regime of prostitution. It is another cycle of time. so to the inhuman forces of attraction in Eden, 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 that are not captured in the cosmology of prostitution. So these forces in Guyotat's text resonate with forces coalescing around and through this text that is being written and read in an atomized settler colony, which is also a place of other forces, forces that the regime of prostitution will never grasp. These forces include gusts of wind and vortexes. So this is another quotation from Guyotat. Wind, shaking signposts, thorn trees, buffeting flights of insect swarms, lifting up, carrying vultures towards exposed plateaus, shingle vibrating, sand backing up into toilet holes, whipping against buttocks of squatting workers, clouding streets, whipping against bloody bandages of soldiers in pyjamas crowded under apricot trees beside hospital, whipping at ointment smeared in impetigo, at ears stuffed with transistor earplugs, whipping against sheet metal, canvas, assailing black ledges cut through with mauve gullies, harbouring broods of grey sandlarks, filling up ruts in tracks carved out by giant trees, treads of caterpillars, covering skeletons, malted skins. So to the final lines of the novel. In the final lines of the novel, we're offered the image of wind and vortex attracted to, but uncontained by forces of Earth or Venus. So I'll end this response by quoting Guyotat. Gust of wind, driving back, lifting up sand against growing darkness, rain carried in columns from beneath accelerated throbbing of Venus, splashing, icy, boy pushing woman under shelter, wool soaked by streams of heated water from folds of clothing tangled over breasts, bleeding red onto body of baby dozing under arch, jewels tinkling against metal, of two torsos touching, acli, abscesses riddled by driving rain, digging on knees into sand, beneath belly of female camel, pock-marked arms, vibrating, drained of blood, in saturated sand, monkey whining, arms drooping, softened Gerber knotted around neck, muzzle bloody, member erect, eyes scrutinizing Venus veiled in violet vapours, treading on beheaded vipers, grease exuded from grass bung, hardening, vortex, veering back to Venus.
Girl whores, lifting up soldiers unbuttoned against wall of saloon, sucking up, spitting out last drops of jism onto fingers stained with henna, each eating globules from hands of others, soldiers dozing, heads weighing on shoulders, blonde soldier with shoulders marked green, pissing, interrupted masturbation over heels of whore, whore's free hand, other hand splashed with jism, pressing sticking members, smeared with excrement, reeking of jackal scraped from between boys' buttocks, panting from corner of soldier's mouth to earlobes, fangs, jowls of jackal. At top of street, on steps of small butcher shops painted red, children wrapped in tight sackcloth, drowning brood of short-eared owls in pool of mixed blood. Female, perched on corner terrace of brothel, screeching, piercing, children seizing chicks, plaintive, children's drowning, waking masturbated soldiers covered by girl whores, protected against chill of advancing darkness, butcher stuffing bloody coin into fist of instant lad, stepping outside, hand slapping buttocks of boy bending down, movement enlarging tears in jeans along seam between buttocks, tuft of wiry blue hair opening out under butcher's palms, bolting iron shutter, pushing back children, tearing legs, necks of drowned birds, going down street, opening taps of oases, entering his field of wheat, squashing moles hidden in earth with heel of single boot, other foot wrapped in blood-soaked goat hair, pulling up surface of green wheat, tying wheat into bunches, hanging bunches at belt, blood-stained wheat, springing back, closing passage behind butcher, irrigated ditches overflowing, noisy flights of sandlarks following current pumped under wheat, young negroes, female, male, copulating beneath embankment of ritual wells, colour of pink sandstone mixing with sweat, jism, seed, henna, bathing, thrusting thighs, hands twisting interlaced, butcher leaping onto salt marsh, mud scratched by claws of grebes, on doorstep of his bungalow, butcher squeezing his naked children against bloody apron, placing his precious knives on baby's cradle, his hairs bristling in drought of breeze, children fighting outside with reeds dripped in paraffin, flick of butcher's hand lifting up dress of his young wife, leaning against small staircase of terrace, butcher's fingers touching vulva, curling back woman's lips, thumbs forcing teeth apart, pressing two fingers into mouth, pulling out threads of jism, butcher sprawling on unmade bed, pressing lips onto damp wool blanket, stepping outside bungalow, grabbing reed from youngest son, going back towards wife, trying, forehead blushing purple, to swallow filament, striking woman, boy from butcher's first union, emerging from clump of reeds, playing amongst other children, legs trembling, shorts sticking to thigh, wind shaking signpost, thorn trees, buffeting flight of insect swarms, lifting up, carrying vultures towards exposed plateaus, shingle vibrating, sand backing up into toilet holes, whipping against buttocks of squatting workers, clouding street, whipping up bloody bandages of soldiers in pyjamas crowded under apricot trees beside hospital, whipping at ointment smeared over impetico at ears stuffed with transistor earplugs, whipping against sheet metal canvas, assailing black ledges cut through with mauve gullies, harbouring broods of grand sandlarks, filling up ruts and tracks carved out by giant tires, threads of caterpillars covering skeletons, malted skin, peasant youth rising from water, penis constracted, lifting up towards centre, face wrapped in veil, butcher's wife lying beside washed, scrubbed man, blood-haunting bedroom, dry powdered blood running in butcher's inner ear, throbbing with nightmares, woman rising from bed, walking barefoot through garden, boy of first union, crouching in clandestine opium, grabbing, squeezing foot of young woman between thighs, woman lifting up embalmed boy, tearing off tufts of opium, squashing juice against boy's glands, young butcher rolling in bed, woman rushing into bedroom, poising bare-breasted, besides fire, rubbing nipple on husband's wet linen hung out in corner, rummaging in pile of bloody clothes next to hearth, butcher sitting naked on edge of bed, eating bits of omelettes, date, woman crouching down in front, tongue gathering crumbs falling onto pubic fleece. Standing up, washing out man's ears, prodding with small stick wrapped in twists of linen, cutting, man standing, looking at teeth in broken mirror, balls of dried shit caught in hairs around arse, nerve twitching along butcher's leg, woman laying man down, sitting on edge of bed, stroking toes of nailed naked man, under toenails rotting blood, absorbed through canvas of mismatched espadrilles. At moment of slaughter, hands moving up along body stretched sideways, reaching penis pressed back against belly in folds of sheet. Man rolling over, asleep, first gripped between thighs, kissing, tuft of anal hair, downy lips of assistant lad, biting boy's hair plastered with excrement of vampire bats. Peasant youth kneeling beside pool of mixed blood, shoulder leaning against iron shutters of butcher's shop, hand rummaging in rubbish bin, among tattered bits of flesh, seizing trans-pierced kid's heart, lifting heart to mouth, bats trapped in cold store, clutching onto sides of suspended meat, peasant chewing kid's heart, entering woman's brothel, arms of whore mistress catching, pushing youth towards staircase, youth squatting down.
Wozak groaning, member reddening, pinched, hands jerking, stroking loins of shaved girl, girl undulating against trellis, Wozak head buried in breast, moaning, shaved girl pressing chin onto Wozak's nape, rubbing chin, hands stroking hips of whore, fingers pinching, rolling up Gandura, sliding against trellis, veins palpitating on skull, elbow squeezing, rolled up Gandura against hips, hands pulling reeds apart, Wozak's member retracting into pubic fleece, hands of shaved girl releasing reeds, pushing back Wozak's belly, lifting arms from waist, Wozak hitching up onto heels, forehead jammed against simmering breast, softened penis opening violacious over top of reeds, swelling towards exposed belly of woman, woman mauve skull gleaming under fiery rays, drawing back, Wozak's slimy hair sliding over neckline of Gandura, Wozak sweat sticking curls to forehead, sniffing, head drop relaxing legs, settling heels into sand, crossing thighs over smarting penis, woman grabbing bundle, running off, green barley waving behind head, Wozak lifting leg over trellis, balls exposed, glistening pink, drowsy women rolling Ganduras up over knees, Wozak straddling trellis, pressing buttocks against reeds, women breathing, curling back ochre lips, striking foreheads over sand, Wozak stepping forward, sand kicked up, sticking to hams, member stiffening, pointing, approaching, crouching in front of women, member swelling along folded leg, scent opening women's nostrils, Wozak kneeling, leaning over sand on elbows, bumping curly fringe forehead against foreheads of women, lifting leg over croup of woman with bracelets clinking, woman catching knee, stroking curls of thigh, whore placing leg onto woman's croup, foot delving through heated black cloth into cleft of buttocks, Wozak kneeling, leaning over sand on elbows, bumping curly fringe forehead against foreheads of women, lifting leg over croup of woman with bracelets clinking, woman catching knee, stroking curls of thigh, whore placing leg onto woman's croup, foot delving through heated black cloth into cleft of buttocks, woman's breast swollen, bulging over neckline, hand mauve above, ochre beneath, moving along Wozak's thigh up to tangle tangle of long, supple, shiny hairs merging into curly fluff on thigh, thumb, pink nail pitted, pressing into groin, slipping along seam of thigh, scalp scraping, sweat mixed with jism, hay, grease, date sugar, shit. Wazak thrusting mouth onto woman's lips, drawing belly close to woman's other knee, digging down, elbow vibrating in sand, young woman with shaved scalp leaning against thorn tree, bundle of green barley perched in crotch of trunk, bending branch towards mouth, cheeks swollen, lips sucking yellow fruit flowers, eyes staring, through arms of women interlaced at Wazak's members swelling in jerks, at sweat rising over coccyx of whore, lips throbbing, nostrils inhaling sugary pollen, nipples dilated, pulling arms from cloth, free hand stroking nipples, croup rounding out against bark, hams, heel lifted, scraping trunk, wind carrying birds dirtied in dustbins towards high sandy enclaves. Women separating foreheads, standing up, swinging bundles over shoulders. Wazak grasping bare feet, biting bottom of dresses. Women running off, cloth rustling over hissed bodies, throwing, bending, standing erect, bending, burning pebbles at Wazak. Wazak running, lame, nerve strained while raising leg over woman's, croup, tender from continuous forced erections, member pointing, stiffened towards women, fingers catching pebbles embalmed in painted hands. Back, jism eater, back, jism eater, man eater, baby eater, dogs that make us widows in our prime, little husbands drill his loins to the heart. Women, hair shaken, green barley whipping cheeks, one hand hitching cloth over thighs, glistening along prismatic ridge of femurs up to groins, moaning, pressing pebbles over vulvas, Wazak jumping up, darting through volleys, springing onto shave girl, hugging girl, bundle tumbling, girl's hand tremulous, placing pebble over exposed vulva, Wazak's violacious penis scorched, quick sizzle, women encircling Wazak, seizing arms, legs, jaw, hair, pushing whore back over sand towards fence of brothel, Wazak pulling back, hitching whore by ears onto broken trellis, crying in throat, shave girl holding fat of Wazak's buttocks, pushing at coccyx, back into your sty, swine, hands sliding over sticky cuticle, whoremaster coming down, open box room, crouching, clapping hands smeared with gravy over Kamsier's belly, whore shuddering, mouth swelling, throat regurgitating, pomegranate flesh, whoremaster moving one chubby hand onto hip, groping under Kamsey's buttocks, touching ass of whore, other hand palpating blood-stained belly, member twitching in pubic curls, whoremaster withdrawing finger, sliding finger soiled with shit with dried jism over Kamsey's lifeless lips, Kamsey raising, folding arms beside hip, pressing transparent fingers onto whoremaster's hairy arm, pressing transparent fingers onto whoremaster's hairy arm, epidermis under ginger curls rooted over forehead, blushing pink, whoremaster pulling fat lips apart with thumb rubbing thumbnail over jaw, saliva circulating afresh.
The world, even with its crimes, is more solid, more honest, more reliable than I am. It's to my mother I return, to the good, to the beautiful, to progress, to harmony. When, after I've crashed, I'd like to see the whole material portion of existence and of the world blasted away and scorched by the fire of God the Father, like in Sodom and Gomorrah, or softly brushed aside, as if to pass through Christ. What a sorry name and figure, so used up. When, with another pencil or another pen, later, once the indignity has dissipated, I settle back to poetry. But if I can, after a while, show my blameless poetry to my mother, in which a future eye would still perceive a trap of the deep. I never dream of showing the orgiastic writing to my father and tell him that all my production at the time, this part is his due. A child's thought escapes the father's grasp, even before writing will annihilate him. In the completely darkened room at the right end of the house, the melody starts up again as well. The girl with the flaxen hair. For my whole life, which I project will be short and full, will I always hesitate between what reason designates as good, as harmony, not yet love, and what I designate to myself as the beautiful, the musical friction of the animal and the human, its attraction precisely reinforced by a moral condemnation that I understand to be a hypocritical cloaking of our animal share. Am I alone, at least here, living this double life? Do I begin to see this happen in music, such wide splits between notes with nothingness in between? Does nothingness stretch between me and me as well? With this torn self, my heart and reason each account for the tear, and I pledge loyalty to both extremes because of the strength that lies in each. How will I approach the groups and populations whose naked poverty torments me? How can I give myself to others when this self is not unified? Do we only believe according to what's real? Didn't his, that is Christ's, companions believe in him, little by little, with difficulty, rejecting, betraying, repenting, according to something else than visible or audible reality? And didn't they die without any guarantee of his divinity? Even in what is the most sacred of the sacred, truth moves as the earth turns on itself. This might be where the artist works, in the perpetually disjointed gap, which is also maybe the demon's part, at least in the history of humanity. What scientists study with a patience unworthy of the act of art, that is the cosmos or the human body, requires exactitude. Is nature as predictable as human nature? Maybe a shepherd unaccounted for and disappearing later into history used the steel tip of his staff in anger to chip the friable rock that water might have circumvented. But isn't this shepherd ignored by science, found by poetry and artists who have him act on the material of science? Outside, inside, everything seems to tell me that art is made by the infirm, the half or third-witted, half or third-hearted, like me, since I'm only a half or a third of a man, because I've yet to enter a woman. Only philosophy and science, where my vision quickly blurs, are the work of complete adults. I feel that, as much as I feel the attraction of beauty and the need to transform it, in order to create, you must lower your weapons before the real, step back from beauty, look at it in a daze, let it act in you and put you to sleep, so that when you wake up it is standing, but yours now. The philosopher and the scientist inch forward, step by step, with so much cowardice. But when a civilization needs to defend itself against its own decline, the artists are the ones it offers up. For a long time, I only saw spirit in women, and in men, only war. Only that fragile spirit above intrigued me, and not the spirit labouring here below by my side. How did that harmony function, in words at least, in the fluttering of eyelashes? In France, I often watched my mother read and speak, or paint, or dream. Was there room in that mind for disbelief, for resentment, for hatred, or for deadly plots? Room for someone other than my father? What did she pull that was beyond us from all that she'd lived through? Wars, bereavement, deportations, the murder of her youngest brother. From all that she'd read, contra-marital passion, martyrdom, obscenities, atrocities, betrayals, from all of her encounters and her social vision, from the thickness of her dreams. Did her activities as a mother, a wife, an assistant, a caretaker, and a confidant for village prostitutes form a deep within her? I'm fairly certain of my father's formed under the sway of bumps in the road between his day and night visits, and it's because I know this that I'm speechless before him. The rain intensifies. The sound of water on the tar paper roof and around the foundations of the shed drown out our voices so we don't speak. What could I tell them of what I feel and see? Whom could I share this secret with? A secret reinforced. Figures, gestures, sounds, by my shame to disclose it. If I had to disclose this secret, its figures, its contours, its architecture and its traffic would take shape in my mouth, stimulated by the need to create. But this interior movement, this twilight that has been standing next to everything I see, feel or think since I was 13, should not be transformed into fiction or a literary genre. It is a double of me and of my life, beyond status. Its very words must be invented from an intermediary language between God and the devil, comprehensible by them alone, whose premises I can only trace today with a shaky hand, building to an almost cursive speed with the rise of desire, that same speed that my father has in writing his prescriptions and for his preparatory notes for speeches for the General Council. What do my stare, my voice, even my smell betray of this world and of its sounds? There is no joy or pleasure in this double life, in the friction between these two realities within me. Can I unify them into a single, free, transparent being?
Sometimes, in the calm between two sessions, I see us, hear us, feel us, my father and I, driving endlessly from town to town, him at the wheel, my aching body on the seat, his arm and right hand around my shoulders and my neck, the open suitcase on the back seat, sending out its stench of medicine and blood, revealing bulb syringes, tubes and shining hoses, leaving me in hovels and taking me back to heal me and to cauterize. What wounds? To sew back together the raw edges of my torn orifices. Where is my mother? What does she do when we disappear? How does she hug me when I come back, tied against her bosom? What does my father reveal of these outings and of their traces on my body and in my speech? Have I gone mute? Do I let a gesture learned in those hovels slip in when she is there, when she holds me close? Have I brought back words or accents to my poetry from copulations, which their pre-criminal fervour my father sometimes has to interrupt? The most impassioned, the most violent, the loudest, the least sated among those he might lead me to would be the women, who'd want to tear me apart so that each could have that part of my flesh that excited them. My father, having stepped out of his car, would climb the stairs, suitcase in hand, 4 steps at a time, in order to drag me away from his furies by the feet and save the part belonging to my mother, the reason that I use for poetry. I haven't discovered yet that poetry comes from the heart, the guts and breath. Although at night, for the deep, my heart, guts, breath and chest are there.
Neck, sticky collar of denim jacket shining wet. Camels uncoupling, sprawling on sides, eyes closed, muzzles half closed. Woman wrapped in bluish veils looming, green plastic bucket in hand, followed by naked child, coarse grains of salt sticking to short penis. Woman's bare foot kicking into palpitating chest of female, forcing animal up, under camel's belly, fixing bucket, squatting, child lounging against flank of male, playing with sticky penis retracted into fleshy folds, grabbing teat of female, milking, coppery eyelids closed over eyes reddened by salt, by fury of night love. Camisa rubbing encrusted eyes, panel beater disappearing at corner of street. Camisa closing door, leaning, squeezing latch between thighs, legs stiffened, manoeuvring latch against member, softened in pants pulled out of jeans, seizing,
turning member, latch with both hands together, espadrille, smearing gob of jism from panel beater, thick clots swimming in thin liquid over floor, hallmaster coming down staircase, forearm holding plate of omelette against hairy chest, gaze sweeping sideways past eyes of Camisa, boys member, sticky neck beating with flux of blood, hallmaster opening second latrine and passage, buttocks smoothed tight by movement raising foot onto step, rolling in bluish penumbra of passage, loins, back undulating, eye catching Camisa's member springing, marbled out of pants, hallmaster setting plate in front of foot of clubfoot crouched cross-legged on step, dozing, head pressed into corner, face dotted with small flecks of hardened jism, singlet streaked with traces of excrement, hallmaster stepping back out, double locking door, key clutched in fist, coming back into saloon, penis stretched, softened, bouncing against hairy thighs, Camisa lifting arm in front of eyes, heart jumping in chest, knees quaking, hallmaster climbing back up to bedroom, top of body disappearing at top of stairs, jism glistening on downy black hairs under buttocks, Camisa stretching out on side against door, rolling on belly, crawling, panting, raising dust, alongside counter, seam of jeans tearing between spread buttocks, hitching body up onto staircase, licking footprints of hallmaster in dust on steps, on landing, standing up, razor held in fist, hallmaster standing on one leg, other folded back, heel pressed against knee of other leg, disentangling curly hairs over surface of thigh, Camisa shuddering, diving, penis spurring pants at hallmaster, pulling razor from fist, kneeling, kissing tufts, perfume taste of seminal sweat bathing nostrils, settling on tip of tongue, relaxing boy's muscles, nerves, forehead lightening, clothes, pants, jeans, jacket, espadrilles, brill cream falling away from ripening body. I'm going to read from my 2018 novel called Belfie Hell, which is published by Inside the Castle. I'm going to read a chapter called Downloading Eyelids. Cops with collapsed lung problems, the promised world reeling in billion-dollar deficits, mingles with innumerable cars in parking lots, one-sided versions of class warfare, butterfly slayers keeping company with loneliness, old questions being asked in the scorched-out city, snakes greased by delinquent youth. I've never been employed, this is the first time. Richard Dreyfuss ingests chemotherapeutic agents and corticosteroids. He hurls himself into his bedroom. He has a family history of disorder, a family history whereby Dreyfuss has to comply with savage requests to make his emotions unsafe. As I'm no longer present in this individual's nervous system, I decline his request. I need to take 2 weeks off, but I'm unable given Shia LaBeouf is outside. Shia lists his 35 false beliefs on a notepad. They mainly relate to his hallucinations, how he perceives things based on the way his heartbeat paces. The pig cop tries to get LaBeouf to reduce his substance intake. He runs the risk of a toxin-induced psychotic disorder. Mark Jacobs is a guru. The key to his success was always to get lost. I look into his eyes. He laughs himself pale. Master P employs me to be his driver, a pittance, although it is a salary rather than a wage. My conception denigrates into witches. Loneliness comes to mind. My dreams are deceiving. They're not composed like dreams proper. Visions in the members area cordoned off by security guards wearing men's shoes, pining for a melancholy adulteress. Bondage tasks to make them suffer. Weedy males strapped to scientific barrels and chair moons. Artists. A guy's secrecy. Dogs annoyed. People pushed back to Grand Central.